You should take ibuprofen.
Oh God, I've taken so much fucking ibuprofen, my stomach hurts, dude.
Oh, hey, we're recording, by the way.
Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of Thinking Outside the Longbox. I'm Gabe.
I'm Tim.
I'm Doyle.
I'm Juan. Gabe, what'd you eat for dinner tonight, buddy?
Slice of pizza.
Uh,
Just like you. Well, mine was like cream cheese, bacon, pineapple, and jalapeno.
Oh, you had me until pineapple. Everything else sounds fucking amazing.
That might be
cream
why your
cheese,
stomach
but
hurts.
you couldn't find a place that had salami.
Yeah, Blackjack has cream cheese.
What the
Yeah.
fuck?
Yeah, I haven't had blackjack in a minute because the last time we had it in bulk, the boxes touched the ceiling, and so it was amazing. But
Oh man.
New Mutants.
Hey everybody.
I get incredible diarrhea every time I eat blackjack.
I don't know.
I do. I like it still. It's probably one of my favorite pizza places in Colorado, but if I eat it, I know I'm shitting within 45 minutes.
It's super greasy for sure.
Denny's is like that for me.
What's that?
Denny's is like that for me. I know that I'm not going to leave the restaurant before I'm shitting myself.
Bro, Denny's is like that for fucking everybody. Like, Denny's is food that fills you for not very long.
Before the check comes.
Yeah, you're like, oh Jesus, oh God, oh Jesus.
So, The New Mutants is a 2020 American superhero film based on the Marvel Comics team of the same name and distributed by 20th Century Fox, 20th Century Studios. They changed that now. It is the 13th and final installment in the X-Men film series. It stars Macy Williams, Anna Taylor-Joy, Charlie Heaton, Alice Braga, Blue Hunt, Henry Zaga, and Adam Beach.
Nice.
Going out with a whimper.
Oh, speaking of losses, the budget was $80 million and it grossed $46.1 million.
Whoa.
So that's the second movie we've talked about tonight that has lost half of its budget.
Damn.
And how?
They fucked this movie up from the jump street, dude. Like, holy crap. It seemed like everything from the beginning of this film to like it being released and it finally was just a shit show. Apparently they had production issues and they had actor issues and they had releasing it issues, then straight up licensing issues when Disney bought it.
Yeah.
Like everything about this film seems to have been fucked at every single phase. And that's really unfortunate for those actors and people associated with the movie.
What I don't get is, so you took a cast of, like, pretty badass mutants, honestly.
Yeah.
All
really
those
cool
characters
powers,
kick
right?
ass.
You take a really cool, like, unique setting. And, like, an interesting premise. But then you make a terrible movie. Like, I don't understand how all of those things combine to just, like... I feel like this movie's, like, half an hour shorter than it should have been. Honestly, like, they're just, like, there's not enough build up to the story. It's just, like, all of a sudden the story's, like, in full motion. And they never give you any time to, like, think about what's going... I mean, you obviously know it's a mutant's power that's causing the issues because we're not in a supernatural world, we're in a mutant world. But they never give you any, way to develop your own thoughts about what's going on. It's just, like, not only do you know immediately what's going on, the mutants on screen are fucking telling you what's going on, even though they should have no idea, really. So it's just like, I don't know. I felt like they dropped the ball like every way they could with this movie.
So I don't feel quite the same. Like, it's definitely not a great movie. I really enjoyed their use of magic, and what I think is really interesting about it is because of her inclusion and like them alluding to the fact that that's who it is, like super early in the movie, I think a fan of the comic books would know that there is the possibility that something supernatural is going on with her around, but I don't know, like I'm kind of with you. I don't feel like it built correctly. It went from this thing is a mystery to like we know what's going on in like a couple seconds. And that
magic herself calls it out like immediately.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's
She's like, it's the new girl. She's gonna kill us. Let's fucking kill her. I'm like,
Yeah.
why did that character do that right there? Like, why is Colossus's little sister such a crazy bitch?
There's no
Which one?
real
Wait, which one is Colossus's little sister?
Magic.
I don't know that. Why the fuck do you? Why you say it like I should just know?
Because this is Thinking Outside the Longbox.
You assumed what, Doyle?
I just thought you might have done some research on the movie.
No, I don't. So the only thing I did was look up who these superheroes were. I didn't really delve into the stories behind who they were, and none of the names, to me, because I don't know anything about New Mutants, none of the names were familiar to me, and so I was just like, cool. These are just different, like B-level characters. Obviously, I think Deadpool is supposed to tie in with them at some point. But that, like, he's the only one, and that's because he's got a giant name. I have no idea who any of these people were.
Oh, that's interesting to me. So, like, the New Mutants is actually a really cool, like, storyline. Okay, I guess I have pizza.
Yeah, that'll help your stomach, bro, with all the pills you took.
I really doubt that.
Did we all eat pizza tonight?
Oh, you had pizza too?
Yeah, I had pizza too.
I did
barbecue chicken.
All right, so we should do a quick rundown of who the mutants are, and I think, God damn it, I was really hoping that there would be a list.
Well, you have Wolfsbane, Mirage, and Sunspot are all in the movie. From what I remember.
I have the cast in front of me still.
Cannonball is in the movie also.
He's the launch guy. Yeah, it's Magic, Wolfsbane.
So here, you want me to just read it?
Is it Sunspot, you said?
Yeah, Sunspot.
Oh, okay. That's what I thought. I couldn't remember which one he was.
Here's what this says.
He's the sun guy.
Macy Williams plays Ron Sinclair, who is Wolfsbane, a Scottish mutant who can turn into a wolf and is struggling to reconcile with her religious beliefs. Williams was convinced to join the film. I don't care about that. Anna Taylor-Joy plays Ilyana Rasputin, Magic. A Russian mutant with sorcery power. She can manifest the soul sword and use teleportation discs to travel. Charlie Heaton plays Sam Guthrie / Cannonball, an American mutant who can propel himself into the air and is virtually invulnerable while doing so. Alice Braga plays Dr. Cecilia Reyes, a mentor to the group and a medical doctor who can generate protective fields. Blue Hunt plays Danny Moonstar, Mirage, a Native American mutant who can create illusions based on the fears and desires of other people. Henry Zaga plays Roberto Bobby da Costa / Sunspot, a Brazilian mutant who can manipulate solar energy.
So is Doyle, you probably know this. So, like, I recognize the mutants except for the Doctor. Like, is she a new character for the movie?
Cecilia Reyes? No, she's not. I don't know too much about her, but she has been in comics before.
Okay.
The character was briefly a member of the X-Men and often works to assist them. She was created in 1997 in X-Men 65.
Yeah, I know I've seen her in X-Men books before, but she definitely was never really that popular or anything.
Right on. So
she's not really a bad guy.
Also, why is there? I mean, she definitely is in the movie.
Well, no, I know, but that's weird to me.
I don't understand why there was even a love interest tried in this film. So, you're just showing up after. The way that they played Mirage's character is that in the back of her head, she kind of knows that she murdered her whole tribe. Kind of traumatic, you know?
You think?
She shows up, and within 20 minutes, basically, she's in a love relationship. I'm like, perhaps if we're going to concentrate on this, very traumatized child, we just don't even need to go into that in this movie. I felt like there was so much story to develop that they shouldn't even have attempted it, and it made the movie even worse to me, and harder to. Also, I'm just I feel like they're just making. I've said it before, but I feel like they're just making every character they can a lesbian right now because it's popular, as opposed to it's the right thing to do. So that's just getting kind of old, but I really felt like the love interest shouldn't even have been attempted in this movie. Like it didn't seem like a movie for it whatsoever. I thought it was a waste.
So I didn't hate it, but I guess without it, there's very little to tie her with like the rest of the group, and I'm not really sure how they would have eventually pulled them together. But
she could have just been friends. Like,
no, I know, I get that, but they clearly wanted to do something with like the characters that was just different. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff in this movie that's like really weird. Like the way they portray Sunspot as like kind of a slutty dude that can't have sex, like the way, Mirage and Wolfsbane like have a relationship, like, the way Sunspot like flirts with Magic all the time. It's like they added a lot of the like high schooly hormonal stuff to the movie, almost like as a nod to like the comic books, but they don't really have the time or space for it in this movie. Like, and it's just weird. It just seems, a lot of it seems forced, but I don't hate it.
If it was a TV show with like 10 episodes, I wouldn't care at all. You have like the time to build into those relationships, but you didn't have that time in the movie. Like I just felt like and I don't even actually think it solidified Mirage's character in the group whatsoever. Like she was kind of a thing with Wolfsbane. Everybody else hated her guts until they all of a sudden didn't.
Yeah.
Like it just, I felt like they just did no building whatsoever. We know Magic got probably raped by some crazy thing.
No,
I know, but that's what they were like pointing to.
No, so like I think that's the other thing, that I think the story behind Magic is not done as effectively as they could, because they really only told her story through like the colored drawing that she was doing and a few flashbacks, and the idea that like the Smile Men had Russian gangster tattoos like all over their bodies. So like I think the idea is that she's like a child slave, and she says, all these men hurt me and it made them smile. So like they're these creations of her mind that represent the people that like hurt her when she was a child.
I mean, I understand that those were not like real things in her childhood, but to me it just was like a representation of like men who probably abused her as a child.
Yeah.
Like her representation of that. But I mean, whatever. Like again, it was just something that was haphazardly thrown in as like a backstory that they didn't dive into for one of the characters. Like everything they did in this movie.
Is that even close to Magic's actual backstory, that she was
I don't think so.
Slave?
I don't think so at all. I think she's like literally a magic user.
I don't remember that in any books, but like I can't say that I've read all of New Mutants or anything, or that I know her backstory crazy well.
Something that intense feels like one of us would know a story that intense.
Yeah, I don't know anything about the New Mutants. I don't know anything about these particular characters. I think what happened, what it felt like to me, was that it was trying to build to something bigger within the X-Men universe that we were going to get at some point. And then Disney came and then Disney came in and slapped them, because they had already planned to do a sequel to this before the acquisition. So it feels like it's so devoid of story because it was trying to set something else up. And then Disney came in and they did reshoots and they did a bunch of stuff to just close the chapter and be done with it. And I think that's what leaves me going, like, I don't even know what the fuck. I didn't know, like, we don't get any talk about who this like power is, or I can't forget what they call him through the whole movie, but whoever the doctor's talking to the whole time, like we don't get
superior.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Like it is weird. There's a lot of empty, and I think it's because it was supposed to lead to something else, and it just got fucked up at the end when Disney acquired it.
I think even if it was supposed to lead to something else, they did a really horrible job building it up, because I wouldn't have left this movie going, I want to see a part 2.
Well, I don't think it was done when Disney acquired it. Disney came in and they did reshoots and they did things to make it just finish. I don't think they planned on like making the New Mutants something huge again. They wanted to close the chapter and move on.
Someone needs to get fired. This movie had all the potential.
The whole
in the
company
world, I
got
think.
fired.
Yeah. I really felt like this movie had a ton of potential. Honestly, like it's a really cool setting that could have been done really well, and instead was like just to replay.
I don't think it was bad. I'm in the middle.
I am too. Like, I don't think it was really bad. I think it suffers from a lot of what the more recent X-Men movies suffer from, and it's relying too much on like the gimmick of mutants, like, and this idea that they have all these different powers, as opposed to like actually like telling a story that's like cohesive and that's going to like move a plot forward in like a reasonable fashion. They're just hyper focused on what's the cool ability that this mutant has. So like, as I look at Magic's backstory, her backstory in the comics is significantly more interesting than it is in the movie. Like, she actually lived in limbo and was like the slave of like the king of limbo, and taught herself magic in an effort to like defeat him, and then did, with like the help of Storm. So she's a mutant, but she's also like a magic user like Doctor Strange. And that's a lot more interesting than she just has a mutant power that allows her to summon a sword, and the limbo that she goes to is her safe place. Like, they leave out like this whole amazing part of the Marvel universe by not just leaning into her character.
Well,
like,
I think a lot of that is falters from what DC did, and I don't know how you get over it in the X-Men, because they're by definition generally team up stories. But it's that's why you don't ever get the build up to these characters. You have to jump into who these people are so fast. You don't get the cool background stories about how she was, trapped in this place and she had to learn. Like, you can't do that in an hour and a half to 2 hour movie when you've got 6 people that you've got to do the same thing to, who none of us have ever heard of, if you're just walking into it as a movie.
And that's what makes the
X-Men
MCU so successful. Well. Oh, sorry.
I actually think the first X-Men movie did it pretty well.
It does, yeah. But
like, I think you can do it. It's just not. I mean, it would be better if you did spend obviously a whole movie on each character, but
I think the X-Men is easier though, because the X-Men property itself is a little bit better known than like the mutants in general. Like, I think that's why it was so important for them to do the individualized Avengers movies, because like, as like Captain America and Iron Man and Hulk, like, we understood who those characters were, but characters like Black Widow and Hawkeye, you have to introduce in the team up. And because you have to do that, it's better to give those bigger characters like something to explain who they are before you jump into the big team up movie. Like, honestly, like, obviously you can't do that. You can't do that for New Mutants, because this is for like B-level mutants.
You can't do it fully, but I feel like you can do a pretty good job. Like, take
I mean the individual movies.
No, you can't do individual movies, but introducing them correctly, like the way that they introduced Black Panther. Black Panther is not an A-list like comic book hero. Well, he wasn't before these movies. And they introduced him.
The A-list character.
Yeah, right.
They introduced him perfectly in like 15 minutes in the Marvel universe. You know what I mean? Like, you knew who he was, you knew where he came from. You didn't know everything yet. You didn't have that full insight into Wakanda yet and everything, but you had a really good idea of what his character was. What his motivations were, why he's cool. They just didn't do any of that. I don't know. I feel like they didn't. They just, a character showed up that clearly killed her tribe, but she doesn't remember. Her powers are pretty badass, and just like a bunch of fumbling idiots. I felt like it was just fumbling. Everything they did was just like a juggler dropping a pin every scene. Like, I was just like, that could have been a little bit better had they just not done that. They should have just done what they did with the fucking Mandalorian with this movie, if that's what they were going to do, and just turned it into fucking TV
Yeah.
show.
Turn it
But
into
I
a
don't,
TV
but
series.
again, I think you're looking at. I think you've got to look at it in the way that Disney is, where they're done with these movies. They don't want to build it into a TV show because they're done. They're going to start their own X-Men and they're going to restart something else. Why? At this point,
That
you've
makes
already
sense.
spent probably $60 million on doing
So,
something like
I'm
this
just
that you
saying-
know is going to fail. You just
I am
fix it
looking at it.
and you
I'm
end
looking
it.
at it from Disney's side. I'm like, why do anything with it if you don't care at all?
We
Like,
got to try and recoup some of your money.
Yeah,
It's
that's why.
because
That's
they've
the
already
only reason
they've
they
already
released
spent
it for
so
sure.
much money.
turn it into a 5-hour fucking TV show.
But I
Right,
think
they
then
don't
you're
want
giving it
to
the
become-
gravitas that you don't want to.
You're calling it canon. As soon as you do that and put it on Disney Plus, it becomes MCU canon, and that's how everybody's going to think about it. And that's exactly what they're trying to avoid. That's what Juan's saying, and that
To
makes
me,
sense.
I just, if you have it there, you have it started. At least try to make it good and then end it. And if it doesn't, if it fucking blows up and is awesome, then who gives a fuck? Then you just include it in your canon. Like, I don't understand the need
They
to
give a fuck because they don't
this.
they don't
They don't
want
own
to
it.
work backwards into something. They don't want to work backwards into something because they already have different plans. Does that make
Yeah.
sense? Like, they already have something planned. Like, I guarantee you there's an X-Men movie that's in pre-production right now on the Disney end.
There might even be a New Mutants movie that's ready with Ryan Reynolds. Those are things that are already maybe coming.
Haven't they already teased the Deadpool 3?
Yeah, but
Yes.
that
Well, they
doesn't
teased
necessarily
him
mean it's a
being
New
in the new
Mutants movie.
Spider-Man movie.
But also,
yeah.
why not just keep them separate then?
He's
The same-
he's
The
listed
same
and
thing
credited
DC's
in the next
DC's
Doctor
doing.
Strange.
They have their TV shows, they have their movies. Like, I just don't understand why
They
you
don't have those
property.
anymore.
DC still has fucking the
Oh,
Flash.
I thought you
TV
said
show going
Marvel.
on. Like,
I'm sorry, I thought
I'm
you said
just
Marvel.
I'm saying, like, who gives a shit? Like, if you have money involved in something, why not try to make it good? Like, even if you're gonna drop it, if you're just gonna drop it right after, who cares? They're still fans. You still owe them something. Like, you bought a title. Try to make it good. That's all I'm saying.
I think at the end of the day,
I don't understand any reason.
I think at the end of the day, the movie was 99% done, and they've spent $80 million on it. You can't fix that movie without fucking redoing everything. So you reshoot some of the shit that you think you can, and then you put it out, and it's
Try to
done,
redo
and you
it
move
again.
on. No,
From
they
my-
just they did some reshoots, and that was it.
From my understanding, like, from reading the directors, like, what he talked about is they came in, redid a whole bunch of shit, and then didn't use any of that shit, and then released the movie almost as it was originally, for some reason, is what he was saying, is what I thought I read. But to me, I just think, honestly, they fucking Disney just didn't care about this project. And just
I
fucking
agree.
shelved it.
That's what I'm saying. I agree with you.
To me, just fucking shelf it then, because you have people who like this stuff. Like, I just don't understand why you do that.
Well,
Need to recoup the money.
they made half of their money back. Gabe, you
You're
muted
muted, Gabe.
yourself, buddy.
Sorry, I was chewing pizza. Like, they don't want anything to do with it, but they can't shelve it because they've already spent too much money on it. And
they
Sony,
made half of their money back.
or I mean, Fox and Disney both have to make money off of it still.
How much
So-
more money did they spend on it after and not releasing it for so long and redoing everything? That's what
I
I
don't
wanted.
think a ton.
So it's
like,
it says $67 to $80 million was the budget. So my guess is $80 million was probably after Disney put their hand in it, and they made 46.1 off of it. So they lost $34 million on it or so, but they made that almost $50 million back. Like that's at least something from a property you're not doing anything with going forward.
So the other interesting thing to look at is because of the way movie theaters are and like how everything has been, this movie actually was like in the top 25 grossing films this year, which is like insane to think about because it lost so much money. But when you look at last week when it hit streaming services, it hit #1 on Vudu, #1 on Fandango, and got really close to the top on Amazon. So like this movie is actually kind of finding an audience now that it's just streaming because you're not paying 40 fucking bucks to take two people to get popcorn and soda at the movies. Like the Amazon rent was $6. Like,
and I mean, there's so many people desperate for anything. This year.
Yeah.
Now is the perfect time to release New Mutants.
So on Rotten Tomatoes, it was 33% critic score and 56% audience score. So just over
I bet that audience score slowly goes up over time.
I bet it does.
Because it's not... Doyle, you're right. It's not a great movie. And it doesn't do what it should do, like, for an X-Men movie. But that's because at this point, like, Fox and Disney have given up on, like, that side of, like, the X-Men story.
Yep.
But, like, in general, the movie itself is definitely going to appeal to, like, the 12 to 17-year-old audience. Like, this movie is just kind of fun. Like, it's not good. It's not bad.
That's the only part of the movie I think that works, is that it's
better than
PCU. Interesting. It has visually interesting things that happen in it.
It is better than PCU.
This movie has the same things going for it to me.
But is it better than Brotherhood of the Wolf?
No, absolutely not.
It's not even close. Like, that's a movie. This is like an afterthought. This is a stillbirth between two companies meeting.
It's definitely an afterthought. 1,000% an afterthought.
That is 100% accurate, Doyle.
It really is.
It's a stillbirth between two companies meeting.
I'm excited for whatever Disney has for X-Men. You know, I'm okay with this movie existing. It was fine. There was some cool action. The animation looks okay. Like, it was okay.
So I'm having another thought. So maybe Disney released this on purpose to remind you how not great Fox X-Men was. So that whenever they put out their shit, you'll be like, hey, you know what? We're ready. We've been ready, actually, but...
I think they're going to have a pretty tall... I don't think the X-Men is as easy of a film to drop as
nobody's going to be... nobody's going to be thrilled with whoever they cast for Wolverine next. Well, you know, honestly, certain characters are irreplaceable, but...
Honestly, X-Men 1, X-Men 2... the Wolverine, Logan. There are some pretty fucking good X-Men movies. I don't understand why you want to just cut yourself clean. I really don't, but
because it's not theirs. That's why it's not theirs. It's not.
Neither was Star Wars, and they didn't just show up and be like, "We're fucking retelling the whole story."
Yes, that's exactly what they did.
That's exactly.
They literally remade Empire practically.
They
just redid the same shit.
They cut out thousands and thousands of pages of lore from Star Wars. They excised literally decades of Star Wars lore and just said, fuck it, new movie.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, like, all of the extended universe gone.
All of the lore that nerds know about.
No.
As far as movies go, they just remade the fucking old movies.
Dude,
so then they just call it theirs.
There's only one thing that they kept, and it was the Clone Wars stuff. There's tons and tons of other, like, Star Wars tie-in stuff.
I'm aware of all that shit. Most people aren't. I'm saying what most people know about Star Wars is the 3 original movies and the 3 remakes.
I really don't.
You could walk around my job of thousands of people and what do you know about Star Wars? They don't know anything about the comics. They don't know anything about the books.
That's true.
That's a normal person.
Is it though? Is it a normal American group of people?
Okay, go to your work tomorrow, Juan, and ask everybody about Star Wars and tell me they know anything about anything besides the movies. They don't. That's a nerd thing, dude.
That's not a nerd thing. Dude, I literally just watched people argue over the Timothy Zahn books like a couple days ago, and they weren't nerds. They're just like normal people.
You saw some nerds who look like normal people. They're out there.
I'm just saying, like, you can't say that when Disney took a hold of Star Wars, they didn't completely fucking excise everything.
No. I know that
they wanted to make it theirs.
I'm just saying.
They wanted to make it theirs.
But I'm saying they didn't do that. They just fucking made the old movies again. They excised a bunch of shit that I don't think most people know about. That's another argument. But
Will's always wrong.
I don't think I'm wrong. That's
You
I
literally-
I don't
you
think
take
Doyle's
the
always wrong,
Empire,
but I think you're
you
wrong
tr-
about this.
They did the Sharpie magic. They used Trump Sharpie magic. They took the Empire, drew a line through it. First Order. It's the First Order now.
That's what I'm saying is they just remade the old movies again. Am I wrong about that? The new movies are the exact same as the old movies.
But they
Down
also
to the
made,
fucking big circular death machine.
they also made like 4 fucking other things. Like they made Mandalorian, they made Solo, they made
Yeah, that's some new shit.
Rogue One.
Rogue
Like
One.
they've completely rewrote like a ton of new story.
Rogue One is the backstory to the original 3 movies. Like that's not really redoing something.
It's a
But-
completely different idea, though. It's an idea that's never been dealt with or talked about in
I'm
the
almost-
series.
Yeah,
I'm
it got
almost
the-
more than
got the
positive
briefest
it's not
mention
the
in New
original storyline for how Leia gets the plans.
Doyle,
I'm
you're
sure
wrong.
there's a novel that was trashed.
Show
Okay.
me where that is.
So I'm going to say this right now, okay? The Dark Empire collection, which is the Dark Horse Star Wars run that has Luke in it, is like in the top 3 things selling for Star Wars on Amazon right now. It's from 1993 and it's canon that's been completely excised.
Okay, I agree with you, Gabe. I don't think that besides Star Wars nerds, a lot of these fucking people
Bullshit,
know about this.
dude. All of those books are like fucking bestsellers. Like millions and millions of people have read those books.
Star Wars has a huge nerd base. I'm not disagreeing with you there. That's not
Bro,
your
I'm
average,
talking about
everyday
New York
person.
Times bestsellers, not bleeding cool bestsellers.
Okay,
Yeah.
Like,
Here's what I think. Here's what I think is going on. So Disney rewrote essentially. I think they did a lot of things to Star Wars that made it Disney's. You know, but they took something that people loved and they didn't erase it except for the canon stuff. I have books, Star Wars books, and I'm not a Star Wars nerd. And you know, aside from I have actual.
You are
books.
still a nerd. One.
But no. I'm just saying that I think the difference is that a lot of people don't like the attachment that comes with X-Men. And so Disney's like, fuck you.
Okay.
I'm putting
I
all
don't
that
think
stuff away
I don't
and I'm
even talk about X-Men
redoing it.
anymore. We're not even talking about X-Men. We haven't for a while. I still just want to see all these like crazy Star Wars people out there that have the books and the comics. I've never fucking met them, unless they're in the nerdom already. Like I
Look.
haven't. I don't know them.
Heir to the Empire spent.
Well, I've had the Star Wars books from before I ever read comic books.
You don't consider yourself, dude. You are a nerd. You're just a different kind of nerd, kinda. Like, but you're as nerdy as anyone else I know.
Heir to the Empire spent 19 weeks on the New York Times bestseller list. Dark Force Rising spent like 15
I think there are that
on
many
the
comic
bestseller
nerds
list.
out there, and nerds read books. Most people don't even
Bro.
read books.
Like Truset Bakara. Like Truset Bakara is like a weird book that takes place in between like Empire and Return of the
We don't
Jedi.
even have to argue about this. When this COVID pandemic releases, and I'm fucking up for it, let's just walk around and ask people if they know about this shit. And I guarantee
Fucking
they
7
know.
weeks on the fucking bestseller list.
I'll put
man.
$100 down right now that we can walk around and ask people about this shit, and we will get like fucking blank stares, bro.
I
I'm
don't
betting I
think
could
so.
do it. I'm betting
I
I
don't
could
think
do it
so.
at my work.
I think you could walk like downtown Fort Collins or downtown Greeley and you'd probably
You're gonna
hit
You're
a
gonna get
good
some hits.
majority. I
A
think
good majority, my ass. You're gonna
think
get
you would.
50 people if you're lucky all day.
No
Let's go
way.
to college. Let's go to the dorm and walk around. $100 on it. I bet you, dude. This is not well
No,
known stuff.
not the dorms, you idiot. None of those people read books. Those are all like 17,
Well, and those-
18-year-old
well,
people.
Those
You
are
gotta-
average. When I go hang out with my brother, right, and they like Star Wars, the movies, and all his friends are there, none of those motherfuckers read. That's
But
the
do they
vast demographic of people.
Are we asking if these people have read these books or if they just simply know about the lore that is behind the Star Wars universe outside of the movies?
Oh, I would imagine neither. Most of them don't know about the lore. Most of them never read the books. I
I've
think
never
there's a
read the Star Wars
gigantic
books
amount
that
of
I have.
there are a gigantic amount of Star Wars nerds out there that read, and that's why those books are the top 1 bestsellers. But that's not a majority of the population of people. There's no way. I would be running into Star Wars fans all the time. Never do.
I run into Star
I
Wars
run
fans
into
all
Star
the
Wars
time.
fans all the time.
I could
Besides
go
the
to my
movies.
work and point out like 6
Besides
And
the
they
movie.
have all read those novels.
Dude, that you happen to know 6 nerds. I don't know. They're not. It's not a typical person.
Dude,
I'd like to think the
Hey,
post office is
quick-
a pretty solid cross section of America, dude.
quick heads up, Doyle. Quick heads up, Doyle. Almost everybody's a nerd. Like, everybody has something that they have a fandom for. Like,
Yeah, that's not. I'm not arguing that. I'm saying in the atypical sense of nerddom. Like they like Star Wars, they like comics, like the stuff that was not so cool 10, 15 years ago, is what I'm talking about. That kind of a nerd.
the problem
Now,
with what
Star
you're-
Wars probably has
the
some.
problem
bleed
with
through
what
those
you're
things,
saying
though.
right now is that there's not been a time where Star Wars wasn't cool. Like,
No,
with
I
the
know.
exception
I
of the
think Star
first.
Wars has always been cool, and the movies. A shit ton of people love the movies. I just am saying I am not running into in my personal life, and I'm willing to put fucking money on it that we can't find them out there. You say we can. Everywhere that there are these tons of people who know the backstories and the black pots of the Star Wars books and the comics. I don't run into them everywhere at all.
I'm not saying that I know the backstories because I don't. What I'm saying though is that before this, I was familiar that Star Wars had novels out. I never read them. I
Sure,
still haven't read them.
I think that's a different question. If you've ever seen that Star Wars had a book out, do you know anything about all the stuff that Disney cut out of the canon of Star Wars?
Well, I do now, of course. I mean, I couldn't tell you if I did before. I do now because it was a hot topic. They in 1 or 2 days they essentially made a shit ton of stuff not canon.
But do you know about those things? Like, could you go into detail about those things? Have
No.
you read about those things?
Like I said, that's what I'm saying. I've never read about them, but I know about
the majority
them.
of people are like what Juan is. That's what I think. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I just happen to run into a bunch of people who've never read the books or the comics. Possibly. I just don't think so.
I mean, even among our own podcast right now, the 4 of us, 3 out of 4 are aware of the extended universe.
And
No,
I think-
4 out of 4
I-
people
and
are
I think
fucking
that's-
aware of the
I think
extended
Well, I mean, like,
universe.
in
Juan isn't
detail.
aware as much that he knows that there is one.
But I think that's what you were asking
using Doyle's
originally.
metric. I'm using Doyle's metric as in like vivid detail of these stories.
But see, from when you started talking originally, I thought you were just saying, I bet you that these people are not aware that these things exist. Not that they could tell you about them.
No, that's just a semantic argument.
If
Like,
you word
the
the
reality
question right,
is that
tell you that there
Doyle
were
thinks that people don't know about anything that's in the Star Wars novels, but tons of people do, and they know it like in a really ancillary way. There's tons of people that know that Boba Fett survived from the Sarlacc pit. That shit is in the novels. There's tons of people that know IG-88's name.
Yeah,
That
maybe you're
shit's
right.
in the
Maybe
novels.
you're right. I don't think there's a ton of people out there besides Star Wars nerds in general. I don't think there is.
Dude, I think the thing that you're really missing is that Star Wars nerd is like a huge chunk of the population. Everybody that was our age watched the movies over and over again, bought the books, bought the toys, bought the comic books. Like, the fandom from Star Wars is just as hefty as the fandom from Star Trek, not because those people are nerds, but because everybody liked it.
I dare say Star Wars is the most
agree.
popular franchise in existence.
Yes, the movies and the franchise, 100%. Everyone will. People
That's
will say
how-
they love it. That
The
don't even.
franchise includes all of that shit, dude. There's tons and tons of
Okay,
people.
we just don't agree, dude. I went to see you when I was at CU Boulder. None of these motherfuckers even have watched the movie. I haven't even tell you how many times I had parties with like 15 people when I was at CU Boulder who had never seen the movie and ran up through the 3 movies. And they would be like, yeah, I like Star Wars movies. But I'm telling you, from the population that I've been a part of, maybe it's just random. Maybe it is a slightly, but I don't agree. I just don't think it is. Most of the people I run into have no idea what's in those comic books and in those books. Could they tell you they existed? Probably.
I think your work is a bad metric for it, though.
I'm not talking about work. I'm talking about up to.
No,
my
I know. I'm
life.
just saying. You can't quiz the people at your work. That doesn't count.
They're Americans.
Because you would ask those people, like, do you like Fast and Furious movies? And a lot of them would be like, I don't know what that is.
Oh, that's not true at all. Those motherfuckers love Fast and Furious movies.
Oh, my bad. Maybe that's a bad example.
But
just
is
'cause
there a novel on the Fast and the Furious universe?
There probably is that I don't even know about.
Well, now I need to look that up.
New Mutants sucks so much. You guys had like a mild argument about something else.
So for me, New Mutants gets a 1 thumb up and a 1 thumb down. I'm in the middle. It's okay.
That's
You
why
know,
I-
it's not good. It's not bad. I'm excited for more X-Men to come. That has nothing to do with Fox.
What is that noise?
somebody running
I think it's a
generator?
dryer.
There are, in fact, Fast and the Furious books for kids.
I knew they had to exist.
They're like,
Ouch. Did
They're
they
like-
teach about family and barbecues?
I think so.
And how to not steal cars? Because,
Oh,
like,
here
they're
we go.
criminals.
The Stolen Vault, Fast and the Furious Spy Racers. When 4 criminals steal a vault from a bank, Tony Toretto and his crew have to jump into action and fast. The stolen vault isn't full of money or gold like the thieves originally thought. Instead, the vault is holding a one-of-kind, highly sensitive, miniaturized transflux particle accelerator. An accelerator that can't be driven over 40 miles an hour or it might explode. So it's opposite
They
speed.
reverse speed? What the
Yeah.
fuck?
It's opposite speed. That's awesome.
So, do you think this story is canon to the Fast and Furious
I hope so.
universe?
Oh, man.
Story.
So what do we think? Let's get out of New Mutants.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
Just got to pop my
please.
neck.
I said I think the same thing as you do.
I'm at the same point. 1 up, 1 down. It's not great. It's not horrible.
There's
Unlike,
cool shit to see in it. Like, if you just turn your brain off, there's some cool scenes.
for sure, the giant demon bear is fun. Like, I like demon bears.
It ate.
I did like when Magic's dragon like came to life too. That was fun to watch.
Yeah.
What's its name? Puff?
No, it's
Fuck, what is his name?
God damn it. He has like a super British name. I don't know.
Remember.
He's a real dragon that she keeps on her hand as like a puppet, but I don't know. It's funny. Yeah, I guess on that argument we can end this episode by
His
saying
name is Lockheed.
Lockheed, yeah.
you can visit us at TOTLB.com. That's where you can find all of our social media contacts, where you can continue the argument about whether or not people read Star Wars.
If they're listening to our show, I bet they do.
Well, I know. Whatever. I don't want to talk about it anymore.
I don't either. I just want to go out and find out who's right.
Yeah,
Into
that's
the
what
real world.
I'm working on right now. So far, 2 nerds have said they read it. God damn it. You made me completely lose track. Yeah, be sure to check us out, TOTLB.com. That's where you can find all of our social media. And of course, you can go to TOTLB.com/shop. That's where you'll be able to find our new 2021 cosplay and boudoir calendar. It's coming out very soon, just in time for the new year to roll over and hopefully for everything to get better. But you know what? The thing that's going to make 2021 start off great is looking at pictures of half-naked ladies posing in awesome costumes. So let's see. What else? You can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/TOTLB. We do extra reviews where I talk about some of the other stuff that I don't really talk about on the show. May talk about the straight-to-video Amityville vibrator that I just watched this week, which is effectively gore and pornography put together, and it's kind of interesting. And then also, once upon a time, there was a man who definitely read the Star Wars books to people that were under 3.5 feet tall. His name was Michael Kirk. He loved midgets. Now he's dead. Give us a call on the Michael Kirk Memorial Hotline, 970-573-6148. He does love some Ewoks. He loves some Ewoks on his yub nub.
God damn it. All right.
970-573-6148. Give us a call. Tell me how bad that joke was. Also, go to youtube.com/Thinking Outside the Longbox. If you're watching us on YouTube, be sure to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell that gives you a notification that we release a new video. If you don't, you're a dick, because it's super easy to do, and you're already watching this, and you already made it to the fucking end if you're listening to this.
Yeah, come on.
That's about it. Until next time, I've been Gabe.
I'm Tim.
I'm Doyle.
I'm Juan. I put a poll up on Twitter. We'll see if anybody says anything.
Yeah,
Again,
Otherwise,
it's our audience. That's not a
shut up, Doyle.
mistake.
Shut up, Doyle.
No,
We're out of
it's
here.
the same
We'll see
shit
you guys
I said
later.
before.
Bye.
Are midgets
Those always
more
are wrong.
susceptible or less susceptible to COVID?
Hey, I think I caught that.
I would assume they're less susceptible.